Usim mengucapkan banyak-banyak terima kasihlah kepada semua yang hadir untuk dengar topik kita pada hari ini, topik syarahan sains Islam kita pada hari ini. Dan kita amat berbesar hati di ISI untuk menerima dan mendengar perkongsian daripada dua pakar penceramah kita pada hari ini. Kita, untuk maklumat semua, kita bersiaran melalui MS Teams dan juga FB Live. So saya juga ingin mengucapkan selamat datang kepada para pendengar kita lah semua yang hadir untuk dengar topik kita pada hari ini. Kita topik papiloma manusia, okay. Herpes simplex, varicella, dengue, right, influenza dan juga meningitis meningococcal, okay. So manakala kita punya penceramah kedua nanti, iaitu Profesor Madya Dr. Irwan Muhammad Supri. Beliau merupakan pensyarah di Fakulti Syariah dan Undang-Undang USIM dan juga sebenarnya memegang jawatan sebagai pengarah besar di International Fatwa dan Halal Center Kifah USIM dan contemporary. Manakala kita punya penceramah tajuk pada hari ini, iaitu Profesor Madya Dr. Irwan Genetically Modified COVID Vaccine Halal. So saya teruslah memberi peluang kepada penceramah besar kita, Profesor International Fatwa dan Halal Center Kifah USIM untuk kongsi pengalaman dan kepakaran beliau. Dan
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for inviting me. I take this opportunity to share, because I find that there's a lot of misconception in the social media. Okay, so can I just share my slides?
Sebelum tu, saya just nak bagi tahu kepada pendengar kita semua, iaitu kita punya Q&A. Anda boleh tulis di ruangan chat di MS Team ataupun di FB Live di ruangan komen untuk kita bacakan sebentar lagi selepas penceramah habis. Okay, so kalau ada apa soalan boleh tulis. Okay.
Okay, so the question is the modified COVID-19 vaccine halal. Okay, we're talking about modified because now there is this new technology of the messenger RNA vaccine. So, but I will go through, and the thing is I'll go through the production of the vaccine and also cover the issues. Okay. So the content of my lecture will be the virus itself, the vaccine basics, vaccine clinical trials, the types of the vaccines used in COVID manufacture of COVID vaccine, and why, because now we have the explain how express vaccine production can be done, and also we look into the vaccine issues. Okay, now the SARS coronavirus is two, because there was before there was already a first coronavirus in 2002. That was SARS coronavirus, but this time they find that this virus has about 80% similarity with the old SARS coronavirus, so that's why it's called two. Okay, if you look at the corona, it's like it got its name as a corona because it's like a crown. Okay, inside the virus, inside the virus we have
Datin, we can't see your slide. Rasanya Datin off sharing slide tu kot.
Oh, ya ke?
Tadi boleh nampak tadi.
Now, still? Now tak boleh?
Sekarang tak.
Redo upload from my computer. Dia kata dah ada, dia kata ni.
Okay, dah nampak lah.
Ni kena replace both, replace.
Okay.
Macam mana? Cancel. Oh dah, boleh nampak tak?
Okay.
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 Okay, so the most important out on the surface of the virus, we have the M protein, we have the spike protein, and then the envelope protein. This protein are what becomes the antigen. For the vaccine companies, most of the companies, they use the spike protein. Okay, the spike protein, there are two parts, S1 and S2. And actually, there is some part of the amino acid which has some similarity with the sin-sign protein. Okay, so this is the one that is on the social media we're talking about. This sensitive protein can cause infertility or sterilization. So people are takut when you have the sterilization effect, okay, as a side effect. Actually, this virus, it uses as it enters the cell, okay, it can form syncytium. That means the two cells can join together. So this is why we have the syncytium protein. So if this protein is present in all the coronavirus, so you have berapa million that people have been infected. So but there is no issues of abortion pun. Okay, so there is no issue actually about this syncytium protein. It's just that the virus uses this protein to make syncytium cells. Okay, because the virus, when two cells join together, so they use this protein for the joining. This is happens in the body cells. Okay, so there is actually no issue about the syncytium protein causing sterilization. Okay, so there, for the vaccine companies, they use the spike protein because this is the one which produces a neutralization. It can neutralize virus. Okay. Okay, you have to understand protein. Why do you vaccinate? Okay, vaccinate, actually when you vaccinate, you prepare the immune system and getting it ready to fight against the disease. Okay, and the thing is, vaccine is also found, it cannot just protect from infection, it can also protect from cancer. So we have like hepatitis B and human papillomavirus. Those are associated with cancer. So when you have vaccine, it can also protect from the disease and also from the cancers. Okay, so there are two types of vaccination. Okay, we have the passive immunization and we have the active immunization. For the active immunization, that means we inject inside the body convalescent serum or from monoclonal body. Convalescent serum, that means serum coming from those who have recovered. And also monoclonal antibody is a man-made, which is done. It is because you remember yang President Trump, he got the Regeneron punya monoclonal antibody. So the monoclonal antibody can be used for treatment. Another type of vaccine is we call active vaccination. Okay, active immunization. This one, it contains the antigen. The antigen is like, it can be protein, it can be carbohydrate, but the best one will be the protein. You produce a very good, it will stimulate the body to produce antibody, T cells, and also memory T cells. So this active immunization is good when preventing infection. So it prepares the body. So it makes the antibody, it makes the T cells, it makes the memory cells. So when we come across when the real real or wild organism comes in, then that means there'll be a very fast action because we have got memory cells. So if like the first time, the priming of the first immunization, it takes about 2 weeks for the antibody. but during the secondary exposure or the second exposure, it can take only about 1 week. So it will be like a fast action. So this is the beauty of immunization. We prepare the body so that when we come across with the real microbe, then we are ready, and there will be fast production of the antibodies. So the vaccine, for those who've been vaccinated, the vaccine protects the individual. But the beauty is that if we have many people, you can also protect people who have been vaccinated. The vaccine also can produce like herd immunity, so much so that those who have not been vaccinated is also protected. Okay, kita can be, but this is what herd immunity. Okay, but herd immunity, so you have to study like we have COVID-19, dia punya R0. The R0 is the replication. So the replication is 2.5%. So if you look at the bottom line, okay, the COVID is the black dot. So the R0 is 2.5. To achieve herd immunity, you need at least 60% of the population to be vaccinated. Okay, so as I mentioned, the COVID one, the R0 can R0, the R0 is 2. That means one person can transmit to usually but to 2 people, as compared to measles. Measles is more infectious. Okay, measles you have it can be like one case can transmit to 14 to 15 people. So that's why for measles you need the herd immunity can be like 90%. But for SARS is only the R0 is 2.5, so the herd immunity is 60%. So each country must at least vaccinate 60 to 70%. So that then we will cover the whole population. So this is what the achievement. What's the percentage of the population we should vaccinate? This is herd immunity. Okay, now in November we have our governments in the news. Malaysia will receive 12.8 million doses of the COVID mRNA vaccine from Pfizer vaccine. But this one will only for 12.8 million doses. It will only need will be the first one will be 6.4 million Malaysian. Okay, that will be our first phase. Okay, now we have to understand the science basic, the vaccine basics, how we develop immunity. So if you from the diagram, okay, we have the virus, the coronavirus. The coronavirus enters the body. So we have spike protein, and it enters. The spike protein uses the ACE2 receptor on the host cells to enter angiotensin enzyme. Okay, so it will enter, and then as it enters, and then the virus get out into the host cell, and so you have the release of the mRNA, and then they go to two channel. One part will be producing the genome, another channel, another pathway will produce the protein, and after that they assemble. So there will be virus assembly in the cell, and then after that it goes out by budding. The virus get out of the cell by budding. Okay, so that means the cell, here we have the infected cells, and then as the virus goes out, okay, it is taken up by our immune cells. The immune cells, like what we call the antigen presenting cell. Antigen presenting cell is taken up by our immune cells, antigen presenting cells, and this inside the cell, the virus is being chopped or light, and then when you have the protein, it will be displayed in the outside of the APC. Okay. And this protein, okay, the viral peptide is presented to the T helper cells. Okay, T helper cells, and the T helper cells will communicate with the B cells, and the B cell to produce antibody. So this is what we want, antibody. So it's not just antibody, it will also communicate with the T cytotoxic cells. So it is these T cytotoxic cells which will kill and destroy all the infected cells. Okay. So we have here T helper cells, B cells producing antibody, and the most important thing, we have also the memory cells. So this is the memory cell which is come into action during the second exposure. So we have this is the immune system immune response in the host. So from the virus will be taken up by the APC, and then the APC will lyse, okay, and then the peptide will be displayed on the surface, and then will be taken up by the T helper cell, will communicate with the B cell, communicate with the T cell, and then we have the memory. So those are the okay. Now we go to the part of the vaccine. So the part of the vaccine. Before, when the Chinese in Wuhan, when they have found that they share the sequence of the virus, so when it was the sequence was shared all over the world, then the scientists all over the world will start creating a vaccine. So before the human clinical trials, we have preclinical studies which is they do on the animals, okay, on the few animals to see whether it can produce antibodies. So which part of the virus they should take to be included in the vaccine, and they put vaccinate the animals and they see whether it is safe. Then they are happy because there are so many vaccine candidates, so they say which one is most efficacious in the animal, and they take that, and then we have the first clinical trial. Phase 1. It is here we have only like maybe 10 people or so. So this is the study, the safety, whether it is safe to be given to human. So after the first phase, we have the second phase. So we have more like hundreds. Okay, here this trial, you can see the different doses, how much the content of the active material, the doses, the frequency, and of course the efficacy, and also maintain the safety. So safety is all along. Okay. After the phase 2, then we go to phase 3. Here we have the in thousands lab, like can be 40,000, 30,000 people. So it's a really large scale. Here they will study the effectivity and also the side effects. Okay. Once they have phase 3 clinical trials, and some countries they go to different continents. So at least they still have to see the response of the vaccine in different races. Okay. Okay. After that, after the large scale third clinical trial, then they have to go to the registration. Okay, the registration. So like in America, they have the FDA. The American, you have this. So each country we have its own registration body. Okay. So this registration, the normal registration takes about 3 or 4 months, can take many months. But in terms of when there is an emergency, there is what we call they can expedite the process for the approval by using the EUA, Emergency Use of Authorization, because like now we are talking about the deaths of COVID is so much, okay, it's in the 100,000s or so. So they go for that. So this usually those countries they are going for the Emergency Use of Authorization. Okay. What about us? Us, I have said, our DG has said we are going through the normal registration. We in Malaysia are not going to use the emergency. Okay, we are not going to use the panic button. Okay, do you understand? So we are going through the normal registration. So like at the moment, I saw from the government, from KKM website, they are studying at least 10 different vaccine which have put in the dossier for us to study. So they have already a committee to go into the documents. Okay. So Malaysia, we are going through normal registration. We are in a way, our cases are not that bad. Okay, so now you see there's already registration in the first country to register the Pfizer BioNTech, and is UK, and then now on the 10th, that was yesterday, America, the FDA has already approved. There's also other countries have been approving the Pfizer vaccine. Okay, so so the thing is, we are lucky in the sense that we are in the midst when already many people after the third phase, clinical phase now, that means UK, they are already going to the clinical phase 4. So they are going to monitor the side effects. As you saw now in the news, 2 of the healthcare workers have got anaphylactoid, not anaphylaxis, but anaphylactoid. Okay, so this healthcare worker developed a rash, and so rash and then low blood pressure. And what happened? These 2 are actually, they are known to be allergic. In fact, they have been going around having adrenaline jab. So these people, they are known allergic. So because of this, they are said it is for those who are allergic to medicine or food, they shouldn't be vaccinated with this messenger RNA. So this is why even at phase 3 they monitor the side effects. Even at phase 4, even it is a large scale now given to all the to the public, it is also being monitored. So the vaccine companies, we have the vaccine side effects, so they really document all these side effects. So so we know that this vaccine should not be given to those who are allergic. So that's the good news. So we have to take the history seriously, and we have to tell for those who are allergic not to be vaccinated. Okay, now types of vaccines. So you all have heard so much on the Pfizer BioNTech company RNA vaccine, messenger RNA. Pfizer is the drug company. The scientists Turkish descent. We are working they are German, husband and wife. They are Muslim. Okay, they work in German. The family of Suhaib, the husband's family migrated to Germany, and he was educated in Germany, and he was the one who was the first one to make the messenger RNA vaccine. Okay, and they found that their vaccine is 95% effective. Moderna is an American company. Okay, Moderna and their vaccine is also 94.5%. So this is the mRNA vaccine. Then we have the Chinese vaccine. The Chinese vaccine, they use the old technology. Okay, the old technology, that means they grow the virus. I'll show you the next slide. There's also another vaccine which is the viral vector. Viral vector that they are using, example here, I'll show you the separate slide on the viral vector. It uses adenovirus as a vector, and then they put in the coronavirus gene into the adenovirus also. And this is the DNA, that means a DNA vaccine with a vector. So there are a few companies there. We have the Oxford, okay, Oxford, and we have Janssen. The Oxford used the chimpanzee. That's where the chimpanzee adenovirus Oxford, and then another company, the Janssen company from Johnson and Johnson. That's the one. CanSino from China also uses the vector vaccine. They use the adenovirus. So most of them use the adenovirus as a vector. So then you have I cannot see then. Okay, now back to the conventional vaccine is like a live attenuated or inactivated. Here, the virus is grown in viro cells. Okay, in the lab, the virus are grown in viro cells, which are actually African green monkey kidney cells. So the virus they cannot grow on agar. Bacteria can grow on agar. Virus need live cell. So in the lab, they grow on viro cells, which are actually monkey kidney cells. So they grow the virus in this in the lab in a bioreactor, and then after that they passage so many times. So there's so many times. They passage many times. That means they grow many times. That means they grow and then they split it to give fresh medium. Then they grow and then they split it and then they put fresh medium. So it makes, because by that time, that means is already attenuated. That means it is less virulent, okay, less garang, just like the anak cucu already, many passages, okay. So they are less virulent, but still immunogenic, can still stimulate the antibody. So this is we call live attenuated vaccine. Okay, but usually most them they don't use the live virus. But some of them I don't know which company use live, but most of the company use if they use the old one, they call it inactivated. Then they expose the virus, can be through heat or can be through formaldehyde. So they try to kill the virus, but still they can maintain or harvest the antigen, the spike protein, which is the antigen. So this is the old style of making the vaccine. Okay, it can be live attenuated or inactivated. That means the genome is not modified. Okay, it's just jadi anak cucu tu je. That means it's a natural process. Okay, now so when we are talking about the old vaccine, okay, so usually we have the active ingredients, the antigen, okay. And this is the slide from my student actually, because I've already discussed with my student. Thank you to my students. Okay, ini kan kita orang kata ciplak pula, okay, my students. So we will discuss this. So what are the content in the vaccine? Okay, the active ingredient is the antigen, which is the protein, can be sugar from the surface. Usually surface, because the surface is usually the most immunogenic. Okay. So we're talking about, and then we have the active one, and then you have the added ingredient. It can be the adjuvant. Adjuvant is to stimulate the immune response. Without antigen, it can be sikit aja, but titer of the virus titer, antibody titer sikit. But if you give adjuvant, it can go very hard. So the example of adjuvant will be aluminium, squalene, okay. Then we have also the stabilizers inside. It can be gelatin, sorbitol, sugar, lactose. And then we have the preservative, thimerosal, and this is also controversial. But now vaccine companies do not use thimerosal anymore. Then we have also emulsifiers, and then taste improvers. Okay, especially if it is the vaccine is given oral. Okay, this is just say like a generic one. So what are the controversial Islam will be like the porcine gelatin in some of the vaccine. Okay. So this is just, I'm talking about vaccine in a general. Okay. Okay, now we go on to the hot topic now is how the mRNA vaccine works. Okay, so we have here, you have the messenger RNA. Okay, messenger RNA, which is in a lipid cell. Okay, we cannot put the RNA straight away into the cell, so it has to be packaged into a lipid shell. Okay, so when it is injected, okay, the lipid will combine with the cell surface, and then the mRNA is released, just like I showed previously. The messenger is released, and then this mRNA, okay, will give instruction to the cells to produce the protein. Remember, DNA, from DNA subscribe to RNA, RNA translate to protein, and the mRNA will give instruction. They are using instruction, so they have the protein to make protein. So here, if here the content of the mRNA is just the gene which codes for the spike protein, they have already chosen the most important protein to produce antibody is the spike protein. So here you have the viral protein is made in the host cell, in the human cell, as compared to the old production, the protein is made in the outside, okay, in the bioreactors, okay, it's outside, it's in the factory. But here the mRNA is making the protein inside the human cell. So that means the viral protein is made on the human cell. So we have here again the protein is on the cell surface, and then it is taken by our host immune cells. So again, the APC is taken. The protein is taken up by APC, and then again the APC will present it to the T helper cell, and T helper cell communicate with the other B cells and T cytotoxic. So again here, so we have the robust immune response. So mRNA will give instruction to our cells and to make protein, and then this protein is made and then is delivered to our host, to our immune cells. Okay, so this is what happens. So you know that the COVID mRNA vaccine are not infectious because it does not contain the whole, RNA. It's only just the one which codes for the spike protein, and because you see, so the virus is in the cytoplasm. Okay, it's not in the protein is made in the cytoplasm. The protein is made in the cytoplasm. So, and the mRNA does not integrate with the host DNA. It does not integrate. So, and it is made by cell-free, and it offers a rapid and production with high productivity. Okay, so the production is that it does not use a live virus, so they do not affect or interact with host DNA. So because the mRNA never enters the nucleus where our genetic material DNA lies. And then after it has made the antigen, okay, or the protein, the mRNA will disintegrate. It is very fragile. The mRNA is very fragile. So that's why it needs that cold temperature. Okay, so because of the cell, when the cell breakdowns, okay, you get rid of the mRNA soon after it's finished using the instruction. So this technology is new, but it is not unknown because the scientists have been studying for the flu vaccine, Zika vaccine, rabies vaccine, and cytomegalovirus. Okay, so and like our two Muslim scientists in Germany, they were actually working with tumors, so and antibodies, and so instead since this COVID pandemic, they switch on doing into COVID vaccine. So we are happy that we have the Muslim scientists to help the world. Okay. Okay. So here, what are the advantages of mRNA vaccine? So actually, there is just like remember when you do the test for the COVID test, you all have heard so much about PCR, polymerase chain reaction. Polymerase chain is you have the primer, okay, and then they make more strand using the primers, okay, and using the primers. So similarly, this vaccine, you have the complementary DNA sequence of the pathogen, and then with the enzyme RNA polymerase, and then you have the nucleotide triphosphate, okay, so they can make the mRNA vaccine. So this is really man-made, okay, it's by using all these nucleotides and enzyme polymerase. So they can make so many times using the enzyme, they can make many strands. So it is, the production itself is easier, It is safer to produce. It is safer for patient because there is no we're talking about cell in the intubated. So it is grown in monkey cells. So there is no monkey cells. Okay, so there is no other extraneous. So it is just the polymerase. So then at the end of it, they work. And then there is low risk of integration into the genome as compared to DNA vaccine. So it is good and it can give a good response to the emerging pandemics. Okay? Okay, I'm repeating. Okay, for the vector vaccine, they have two things. You have two viruses, the adenovirus, and then you have the coronavirus. So here you have the the spike protein gene of the coronavirus is put inside the adenovirus, and the adenovirus is grown in the viral cells, and then after that is harvested, and then you have this. So here you have here to enter the adenovirus, they have to make it into DNA. So here it is a DNA. So it's going, and here again it is used. Here it is injected into the body, and here also the body makes the manufacture the protein. Okay, so here for the viral vaccine, okay, you have the corona here. Sorry, for the viral vector vaccine, you have the two viruses. Coronavirus spike gene is put into the adenovirus gene. Okay, and then the adenovirus is the package, and it goes into is injected into the host cell. Okay, so now there's another one is a DNA vaccine where there is no adenovirus. It's just a pure DNA, but here they have to use electroporation. That means to process, which create pores in the membranes to increase the uptake of the DNA. So this is a DNA vaccine. So now, how can you are talking about how can this vaccine can be made very fast, express vaccine production. So much so that it's too fast, people semua pun dah skeptical, okay? But this is a precedented global effort. Everybody is not about competition, it's about sharing of information, collaboration between companies, lots of money into research, like the Mrna is heavily funded by the US government. But Pfizer is not, they don't have fund from the government, from the US government. Then there's also novel approaches to the research, development, production. And then actually the scientists have already developed MERS corona vaccine and SARS vaccine. But because at that time, after within a year or so, the outbreak stopped. So because of that, there's not much use of those vaccine. Okay, so actually those technologies are not new because they have already used it for the MERS and the SARS corona vaccine. It's more of the DNA that you're talking. This is talking about the viral vector vaccine, not the mRNA. Okay, so you're talking about the difference in the traditional vaccine production. They do step by step, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, they go, and then as licensure, after licensure, only they do the large scale manufacturing. As compared to this pandemic, even before the licensure, they're already producing. Okay, so they are investing. If you don't get license, then habis lah. I mean, all gone dia punya investment. But it is they are doing the same time. So because of that, they have do in record time. Okay, now these are the vaccine companies trials in US, and you can see that for the Mrna, they tested in the phase 3. Those 18 years old, and they have 30,000 participants. 30,000, bukan tenang tau, bukan 1,000, 2,000, 30,000 participants, but usually half placebo, half the vaccine group. For the BioNTech, Pfizer, they start the age group 12 to 85. So that means they include the elderly. So they have more participants, 44,000, 40K. Okay, and then you have the also AstraZeneca also 40,000 case. So they have a lot. That means it's not to say sikit, it's a lot. Okay, the participants are already a lot. Okay, so these are the differences between the nucleic acid vaccine. Just I mentioned tadi, it can be faster, it is cheaper because it is man-made, again, and it is more potent than traditional vaccines. Because as a robust, also because it's stimulate the B cells, the T cells, and so memory cells. So it's just like to me, it's just like a live. It's just like a live attenuated vaccine, the immune response. Okay, now we're talking about RNA vaccines. It needs cold chain because we know it is very, very fragile. Okay, you all semua takut they have to maintain it. But you consider, okay, AstraZeneca, the good thing is that it's just like ordinary temperature, okay, so like what you said. But Mrna is about 20, at minus 20, so most hospitals have got the freezer, that is the freezer compartment. Okay, actually other vaccine also use like the chicken pox, so it's also stored in the freezer compartment. Pfizer, they have to be stored at minus 70. Minus 70 is actually the dry ice. So actually, even the ice cream people pun pakai dry ice kan. So it can be done. Okay, can be minus 70. So it is dry ice. Is dry ice about 80 degrees centigrade. So you can use dry ice. It's not. And the thing is, the Pfizer's have done very, very well, very ingenious. Instead of a prepared, ready to use vaccine, they use vials. And one vial is for 5%. One vial, it is a multi-dose, one vial for 5%. And in one tray, there's 95 vials. And in one box, they have 5 trays. So actually one box, one box is for 5,000 vaccines. So they are very ingenious. It's just that the diluent has to be transported, and the diluent can be stored, is already at room temperature. So what is needed for the minus 70 is just the mRNA. Okay, I think. Okay, so burning issues. So that's how many should we vaccinate? Okay, so as I mentioned, we should at least get the herd immunity to about 60%. Different vaccine for different situations. So if like say like in the hospital, maybe because we have the freezer and all, then maybe we can use the mRNA. But kat kampung in the daerah punya, then maybe we have to use we can use the AstraZeneca ke other vaccine, or can use the Chinese, the inactivated vaccine, which use the ordinary temperature. So we can have different type of vaccine for different situation. The priority groups, so we have ready from the cases, you have to know, that those who die are those who are the age. So and you have to see those who have high mortality, a lot of morbidity, and of course the healthcare workers and the frontliners who are really sacrifice their life. Okay. Then the logistic, I think usually logistic, even that the companies, usually you can have staggered delivery. So you have public confidence. These two things are very important. You can have the best of vaccine, but if the public are skeptical, then they don't take the vaccine. So we have to build up the public confidence. So this is the KKM has to work hard to have public confidence. And then we have on the social group, or also many, we have to overcome this anti-vaccine group. Okay, this is what show some suggestion would be like to have to monitor the social media, and then we have to re-educate these people. So we have to say that the debunks says this is fake news personal. So we have to work, and we also have to work with the religious group. Okay, then and after apapun, we have the new normal. Okay, our life has changed since this pandemic. In conclusion, okay, we have to have a better understanding of the scientific vaccine will increase our public confidence in receiving the vaccination. And then, as I mentioned, we have different vaccine platforms, so we can be for different groups and for different places. Then we have to quell these anti-vaccine groups. And meanwhile, before we get our vaccination or before we are immune, we still to follow our SOP, frequent hand washing, mask, physical distance. And also I want to be here, okay, that we have done studies. You see Dr. Nurul Azmawati in a group, and we have done studies, a few studies on gargle. We have proved that gargling with antiseptic can really kill the COVID. You can see the cause virus. So for those who have been going out, if you've been to outside with many people, come back and gargle with antiseptic. Can be betadine, it can be Listerine, can be the Colgate punya ke apa. So there are few vaccine, few antiseptics which really kill the coronavirus. We really tested on the real coronavirus. So we have worked with the MU. Okay, now this one, how the patient respond to the COVID, it depends on your immune system. If your immune system is okay, can be asymptomatic, you just recover. You have overdraft cytokine storm, then you can go you can require hospitalization. So actually you have to increase your immune system. Okay, I would recommend vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc, quercetin. Quercetin is found in onions, apple. That's a few. If you vegetable lah, so eat your vegetables. Okay, so get your vitamin D. The thing is, kita memang itu a hot country, but usually most people, kalau orang Muslim ni, kita tutup semua, tutup aurat. So you have to think, we may be living in tropical, but actually kita tutup most. So if you don't have enough vitamin D, you must be can get supplement. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Datin. Professor Datin Cik Elina, for that wonderful talk. So saya buka dululah kalau ada apa-apa soalan daripada pendengar kita atau peserta kita. Kalau ada apa-apa soalan, kita break for like 5 minutes. Ya, kalau ada sesiapa nak bertanya apa-apa, boleh bertanya di ruangan chat atau di MS Teams ataupun di FB Live, di ruangan komen FB kita. Saya tertarik yang Datin kata pasal because the Pfizer, one of the challenges that they have to address is the issue of the vaccines, the mRNA vaccines need to be kept at a very low cold temperature, kan Datin kan? Yeah, so at the moment, to date, memang the solution is still at minus 70. Cold change lah. Cold change still kena lah. Oh, so your suggestion is maybe the government boleh look into to address the challenges too by looking to other vaccine option for other situations. Ya, Datin? Ataupun because that would be one of the challenges lah kan, diorang nak kena fikirkan. Okay, so kita ada apa-apa soalan ke? So kalau ada apa-apa soalan ke daripada
ada soalan dalam chat box MS Team.
MS Team ada. Kejap saya tak nampak. Okay, daripada Dr. Wan Syahidah, which type of vaccine is the most effective and have less side effect in your opinion? Prof. Datin Elina.
Okay, thank you for the question. Okay, at the moment, the one that we have, the mRNA is 90%, 95. I should tadi katakan. I think the Chinese inactivated vaccine I hear is about 86%. Mrna the mRNA seems to be the highest lah. above 90%. But even the AstraZeneca, funny dia punya results. They have two groups. We have half dose, and full dose, because this vaccine has to be given in two doses. Okay, then the group which received half dose and full dose was 90% effective, but the group which received full dose and full dose was only 60%. So the average it out is about 70%. So that is the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine.
Okay, so so your opinion is at the moment is the mRNA vaccine lah. So the mRNA vaccine for COVID currently is going to go ke ataupun dah masuk the third clinical trial phase ya Datin?
Which one?
The mRNA vaccine for the Pfizer one.
Pfizer is already fourth phase. The English already, the UK has already vaccinated. Was all over. They said that's why there are 2 person who develop anaphylactoid. Okay, dia memang he is memang allergic. Okay, so this allergy is just like we teach our student is the hypersensitivity reaction. So actually, so these people, but whatever it is actually when we vaccinate, usually we observe the patient. Actually, we don't say jab and just go. No, actually for in the hospital, jab they have to sit down and see and observe and see. Because we tak orang tumbang. So it is there's the protocol how to vaccinate and how long to observe.
So that's why it's called as a control clinical trial kan.
No. This is even for phase 4. Now we have phase 4 lah, the ordinary for the public and all that. Usually, they have to be observed.
For any of the effects kalau ada. Okay, so do we have any other questions?
Nak tanya Prof. Tadi termissing sikit part yang pembuatan vaksin Pfizer ni kan. So dia memang tak melibatkan binatang lah.
No. It's just like it's a lab based. It's just like chemical aja.
Dia dibuat
it's biochemical. It's like a biochemical. Tak ada animal. No animal. The mRNA.
Dia extract mRNA tu sebab kira dia just ada genetic code je Dr. Iwan.
But the other one, the vector vaccine too. The vector vaccine, because they put in adenovirus, and then they have to make the adenovirus. Then that one they use the viral cell. That one is also the animal cell. So the viral vector vaccine has got the animal cell, but usually after the production, they would disintegrate the cells and just harvest the the other standards, dia punya purification and all.
Yeah, so meaning that for the viral vector vaccine tu by right, at the end of the line tu, they will only contain the purified viral vector based vaccine kan I think kan?
Right.
That is what I understand. Yeah. So do we have any other more questions? Kita just lihat sebentar je. Kalau tak ada ataupun sekiranya ada lagi soalan, boleh tulis di ruangan chat MS Teams kita ataupun di komen FB. Kalau tiada, buat masa ni kita terus dengan penceramah kita yang kedua. Okay, Profesor Madya Dr. Irwan Muhammad Supri, the floor is yours.
Okay, baik. Terima kasih kepada Dr. Nurliza, Yang Berbahagia Prof. Datin Dr. Cik Elina. Seterusnya kita punya peserta dalam bicara sains kali ini. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulil amin. Ba'du. InsyaAllah pada pagi ini kita cuba bincang tentang vaksin dari perspektif fake lah. Dan saya tidak menyediakan slide. dan saya akan membuat pembentangan ringkas ini dengan beberapa poin. So suara saya boleh dengar jelas?
Boleh. Jelas.
Poin yang pertama yang saya nak sentuh di sini ialah berkenaan dengan vaksin sebagai pencegahan. Tadi pun Prof dah sebut pasal digalakkan untuk kita menjaga SOP penjarakan sosial, kemudian makan buah-buahan, berkumur dengan antiseptik dan sebagainya. Okey. Tetapi sekarang ni PPP pun sudah tamatkan, kecuali beberapa tempat. Jadi kita still akan keluar pergi ke kedai, kita akan keluar pergi kerja, kita akan bertembung dengan sesiapa sahaja yang kemungkinan besar kita kata positif COVID lah, kan. Kemudian kalau kita nak kata kita nak terperap di rumah ataupun nak lari ke hutan, singa pun sekarang dah kena COVID, kan. Jadi mau tak mau kita terpaksa berhadapan dengan satu situasi yang kita kata kok mana pun ada bahayanya. Okay, jadi di samping kita tak nafikan, di samping kita mengamalkan SOP seperti mana yang disarankan, kan, tetapi sebagai langkah tambahan, kan, maka pihak berkuasa kesihatan melalui Kementerian Kesihatan negara masing-masing memikirkan dan mencadangkan supaya rakyat juga diberi vaksin lah, dan sekarang ni telah pun ada yang dikatakan vaksin untuk COVID-19 ni. Maka walaupun belum lagi di Malaysia belum lagi dilaksanakan, tetapi Britain ataupun UK telah pun bermula. Okey, jadi kita bercakap pasal vaksin sebagai langkah pencegahan. Okey, ini adalah ikhtiar kita, ikhtiar manusia, ikhtiar Kementerian Kesihatan melihat bahawa vaksin salah satu cara untuk kita mengekang dan mengawal daripada pandemik COVID-19 ni terus tersebar. Okey. Dan bila kita bercakap pasal pencegahan, adakah langkah-langkah pencegahan itu mempunyai asas dalam Islam ataupun dalam fiqh? Jadi apabila kita merujuk kepada ayat-ayat Al-Quran ataupun hadis-hadis Rasulullah SAW, memang terdapat beberapa gaya, beberapa langkah, beberapa cara untuk pencegahan. Sebagai contoh, dan hadis yang ayat Quran yang famous yang kita selalu dengar dalam surah Al-Baqarah, Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala berfirman, wala tulqu bi aydikum ila tahlukah, dan jangan kamu campakkan diri kamu ke dalam kebinasaan. Yang mana kita tahu COVID-19 ini ialah satu wabak ataupun virus yang boleh membawa kepada kematian. So ia adalah satu kebinasaan ataupun ia adalah satu bahaya malapetaka yang mana kita wajib mengambil saranan daripada ayat Al-Quran ini supaya menjaga diri kita daripada kita istilahnya matilah, kan, sebab ia boleh membawa kepada kematian. Okey, itu yang pertama. Yang keduanya ialah beberapa hadis Rasulullah SAW yang kita dapati, antaranya hadis ta'un, kan, hadis ta'un, idza sami'tum bit-ta'un bi ardin fala tadkhulu fiha wa idza waqa'a bi ardin wa antum biha fala takhruju minha, atau kama qala Rasulullah SAW, iaitu apabila kamu mendengar wabak ta'un berlaku dalam satu-satu tempat, jangan kamu masuk, dan kalau kamu berada di tempat itu jangan keluar. Itu kaedahnya, kan? Maka hadis ini sebenarnya dia merujuk kepada orang-orang biasa ni yang tak ada kena-mengena dengan petugas kesihatan. Kalau doktor, jururawat ataupun frontliners yang lain yang terlibat secara langsung untuk membasmi ataupun menangani isu-isu wabak ini, itu memang mereka wajib masuk. Ya, tetapi kita ni orang awam yang tak ada kena-mengena, yang tidak ada ilmu pengetahuan, yang tidak ada kepakaran, jangan kita mendedahkan diri kita ke kawasan wabak. Okay? Sebab kalau petugas kesihatan, frontliners, mereka dah ada equipment, mereka dah ada kelengkapan ilmu dan sebagainya, kan? Jadi kita jangan salah faham tentang hadis ta'un ini. Dan menariknya, cerita di sebalik hadis ini, kan, apabila Sayyidina Umar bersama gerombolan para sahabat beliau ingin pergi ke Syam, kan, dan sebelum sampai ke Syam, sekarang Syam ni area Syria, Jordan sebagainya tu, sebelum sampai tu mereka mendengar bahawa berlaku wabak taun di situ, kan. Jadi Sayyidina Umar pun mengambil langkah untuk berbincang terlebih dahulu dengan delegasi beliau sama ada nak meneruskan perjalanan ataupun tidak, kan. Jadi ada kita panggil dua pandangan lah, kan. Pandangan pertama, dia kata Sayyidina Umar, kita ni datang daripada Madinah, jauh ni, kan, kita ada urusan dekat Syam, kan, takkan nak patah balik kot. Jadi kita teruskan perjalanan, tak apalah, tahun lah, kan, kita tawakal je lah, kan. Itu satu pandangan. Manakala pandangan kedua, dan itu juga pandangan yang Sayyidina Umar lebih berat kepada pandangan ini, iaitu ni wabak tahun ni dia kita kata berbahaya, boleh bawa maut juga, kan. Tak apalah, urusan tu kita boleh tangguh kemudian, kan? Kita main semula. Jadi duk berbalah ataupun duk berbincang tak habis-habis, sehinggalah Sayyidina Umar bertanya, ada tak di kalangan kamu ni yang pernah mendengar hadis Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam berkenaan dengan ta'un? Ketika duk bincang-bincang tu, barulah datang seorang sahabat, Abdul Rahman bin Auf, yang mana pada peringkat permulaan beliau tidak ada dalam perbincangan tadi. Dia baru tiba. Dia kata, aku ada mendengar Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam bersabda yang hadis yang saya sebutkan tadi, iaitu apabila kamu mendengar ta'un berlaku di satu tempat, jangan masuk, dan kalau kamu berada di tempat tersebut, jangan keluar. Okey. Jadi itulah konsep PKPD tu, kan. Pergerakan kawalan pergerakan diperketatkan. Jangan sewenang-wenang lah. Kalau di tempat yang ada wabak tu, COVID-19, kita nak masuk, dan kalau dah diperintahkan berada di tempat tu, jangan keluar, di kuarantin di situ, maka jangan keluar. Itu arahan, saranan daripada Rasulullah SAW. Lanjutan daripada kes ini, ada seorang sahabat, Ubaidah bin Al-Jarrah, yang istilahnya tak mau dengar nasihat dan pandangan Sayyidina Umar. Beliau meneruskan perjalanan ke Syam, dan akhir sekali beliau syahid, terkorban akibat ta'un, kan. Dan apabila Sayyidina Umar pulang ke Madinah, dan selepas itu mendengar kematian Ubaidah bin Al-Jarrah ini, beliau amat sedih lah, kan. Sebab Ubaidah bin Jarrah pun seorang sahabat Rasulullah, dan beliau telah pun berbincang untuk menasihati supaya tidak meneruskan perjalanan ini, tetapi disebabkan kita kata tidak mau dengar cakap, tidak mau dengar nasihat, maka beliau sendiri terkorban. Ubaidah tu sendiri terkorban dalam peristiwa ta'un Amwas tu. Okey. Itu yang kedua. Hadis yang ketiga berkenaan dengan kusta. Okey. Penyakit kusta juga kita kata boleh berjangkit, kan. Dulu pun kita ada pusat kusta negara, di mana Rasulullah SAW juga memberi saranan, firra minal majzum kama tafirru minal asad, atau kama qala Rasulullah SAW. Kamu kena jauhkan diri, kalau kamu tidak ada kelengkapan, kamu tidak ada kepakaran untuk handle sakit kusta ni, kamu kena jauhkan diri, kan, seperti mana kamu lari daripada singa, kan. Maksudnya kalau kita takut dekat singa pun, maka kita kena juga ambil langkah berjaga-jaga apabila berhadapan dengan pesakit kusta. Dan satu lagi hadis, walaupun ada pandangan mengatakan hadis ini dhaif, tetapi hadis yang berikutnya ialah Rasulullah sebut, kallimil majzum wa bainaka wa bainahu qadra rumhin aw rumhaini. Kamu hendaklah bercakap dengan pesakit kusta dengan jarak 1 lembing ataupun 2 lembing. Maksudnya kaedah penjarakan sosial tu telah ada pun dalam hadis Rasulullah, walaupun tadi dikatakan hadis ini bersatu dhaif, tetapi sebenarnya untuk hukum hakam juga para fuqaha kita membenarkan untuk berhujahkan dengan hadis-hadis dhaif tertentu. Baik, ini kita kata dalil-dalil ataupun prinsip Islam dalam berhadapan dengan apa-apa wabak, penyakit berjangkit, ataupun kita kata pandemik. Okey. Rasulullah ataupun kita kata ada menyebut pasal kuarantin, menyebut pasal penjarakan sosial dan sebagainya, ya. Tetapi kita sebenarnya boleh saja mengambil hadis ataupun ayat Al-Quran ini sebagai asas kepada apa-apa sahaja perkara yang boleh mencegah kepada penyakit-penyakit ataupun wabak ini, kita boleh laksanakan dan kita boleh lakukan, termasuklah vaksin. Okay. Itu dari segi poin yang pertama yang saya nak sebut. Poin yang kedua, berkenaan dengan yang dikatakan pembuatan vaksin, ataupun bila kita bercakap tentang pembuatan vaksin ini, maka kita tidak akan lari daripada sama ada vaksin itu dihasilkan daripada sumber yang harus, sumber halal, ataupun sumber yang diharamkan. Okey, jadi kita kena tahu halal haram dalam fiqh Islam kita ni apa dia. Antaranya, kalau kita sebut perkara yang haram ni, antaranya yang bernajis. Najis ni contoh macam arak, darah, apa lagi, nanah, kemudian taik orang, taik binatang, itu najis, kan? Itu yang pertama. Yang kedua yang diharamkan ialah binatang-binatang tertentu, kan? Contohnya macam binatang ni ada dua. Satu binatang yang memang asal-asal diharamkan, iaitu binatang mughallazah, iaitu anjing dan babi lah, kan? Dan yang kedua, binatang halal, asalnya halal, tetapi disebabkan tidak disembelih mengikut cara syarak, maka ia menjadi haram. Contoh macam lembu, kambing, binatang halal dimakan oleh orang Islam, tetapi disebabkan kemungkinan mati dulu, mati akibat penyakit ke ataupun kena langgar ke, tak sempat disembelih, maka binatang lembu tersebut menjadi haram dan tidak boleh dimakan. Okey. Jadi kita fokus kepada pembuatan vaksin. Sebab itu tadi kita tanya, adakah vaksin COVID-19 ini dihasilkan daripada perkara-perkara yang sumber haram, porcine, ataupun sumber harus sintetik, ataupun daripada contoh daripada sayur-sayuran ke, kan? Yang halal ataupun yang harus itu. Okey, so kalaulah kita dikatakan bahawa pembuatan vaksin yang Pfizer ni daripada sintetik, daripada bahan chemical yang tidak melibatkan unsur-unsur haram, maka dari segi status keharusan ataupun kehalalan vaksin itu tidak ada isu lagi. Okey. Cuma andai kata sebab company yang menghasilkan vaksin ni kita tahulah banyak, dan mereka berlumba-lumba untuk menghasilkan vaksin-vaksin untuk COVID-19 ni, kan. Jadi andai kata ada di kalangan vaksin tersebut ada yang bersumberkan haram, okey, dan kita ada lambakan vaksin-vaksin untuk COVID-19 ini. Jadi apa kita punya stand, kan? Jawatan kuasa fatwa kita di Malaysia perlu buat apa? Okey. Andai kata sekiranya kerajaan Malaysia mengambil yang Pfizer tadi, kan, yang memang sumbernya kita kata daripada perkara yang harus ataupun halal, maka tidak ada isu lah, kan. Tetapi kalaulah kerajaan memasukkan vaksin yang bersumberkan haram, so ada dua kita kata ada dua alternatif lah, kan? Satu yang sumber halal, satu lagi sumber yang haram. Maka ketika itu umat Islam wajib ambil yang sumber halal lah, kan. Apatah lagi kalaulah dia punya keberkesanan antara kedua-dua ini lebih kurang sama. Okey. Tapi kalaulah andai kata pula dunia ataupun kita panggil pharmaceutical company ini, seluruh dunia ni mereka hanya hasilkan vaksin daripada porcine ataupun daripada lembu, tetapi yang tidak disembelih, tetap haram juga. Okey. Itulah satu-satunya vaksin yang dihasilkan. Yang kita buat andaian, itulah satu-satunya vaksin yang ada. Dan dia terbukti setelah melalui klinikal punya test dan sebagainya, seperti mana yang Prof tadi sebut. Itu saja alternatif yang kita ada. Maka ketika itu demi untuk menyelamatkan nyawa manusia yang kita katakan darurat, yang mana darurat ni poin yang berikutnya saya nak sentuh, maka ketika itu dia menjadi harus, berdasarkan firman Allah Subhanahu wa taala, faman turra ghayra baghin wala 'adin fala ithma 'alaih. Kalau kamu dalam keadaan darurat yang melibatkan nyawa, dan kamu tidak melampaui batas, maka kamu tidak berdosa. Okey, baik. Jadi bagi saya tentang pembuatan vaksin Pfizer ini tidak timbul isu lagi lah, disebabkan ia bersumberkan perkara-perkara yang harus. Baik. Poin yang ketiga yang saya nak sentuh di sini ialah berkenaan dengan darurat, hajat dan juga kaitannya dengan vaksin. Okey. Selama ini kebanyakan daripada kita memahami darurat ini adalah yang melibatkan kematian sahaja. Adakah betul? Jawapannya tidak. Kan? Sebab definisi darurat, kalau kita perhalusi dan kita detailkan, darurat ni dia ada dua situasi. Yang pertama, darurat yang melibatkan kematian. Itu yang seperti mana yang kita faham selama ini. Yang kedua, darurat juga ialah dia tidak melibatkan kematian, tetapi dia akan menyebabkan satu kondisi yang amat teruk kepada seseorang pesakit itu. Kalau kita bercakap dalam konteks pesakit. Jadi darurat ini dia tidak semestinya mati sahaja, kan? Sebab itu dalam definisi ataupun istilah Arabnya dipanggil ma yuaddi ilal halak atau ma qarabal halak, kan? Iaitu yang menyebabkan kebinasaan, al-halak iaitu kematian, dan yang kedua ma qarabal halak iaitu yang hampir membawa kepada kematian, maksudnya yang tahap nazak ataupun yang tahap teruk. Jadi itu dari segi definisinya. Dan ramai yang berkata yang secara sinis ataupun mempertikaikan, alah, kita punya statistik kalau kat Malaysia 0.00% yang mati kan. Sekarang ni mencecah lebih kurang 394 kes kematian di Malaysia. Compare dengan pesakit COVID hampir 60 ataupun dekat-dekat 70,000 dah sekarang kan kat Malaysia. Kalau kita lihat dari segi global, kematian dah mencecah 1.5 juta, kan? Tetapi mereka melihat dalam konteks Malaysia yang 300 ataupun kita senang contoh 400 orang ni, mereka melihat bahawa baru 0.00% daripada keseluruhan pesakit COVID. Ada sikit saja. Okey. Sebelum saya menjawab yang ni, mari kita lihat contoh ini. Katakan kita ni masuk hutan, whatever reason kita masuk hutan, kita beriadah ke, kita hiking ke dan sebagainya, kita masuk tiba-tiba sesat, kan? Ini contoh yang selalu famous dalam kitab-kitab Fiqh fiqh, kan? Masuk hutan sesat berhari-hari dan sampai kita punya makanan minuman habis, kita tak boleh nak makan ataupun kita tidak ada sumber makanan yang lain kecuali ada babi. Okay? Kita dah nak mati dah, kita rasa ni lapar sangat dah. Okay? Maka ketika itu hukum fiqhnya membenarkan dan mengharuskan kita makan babi tersebut walaupun asal babi hukumnya adalah haram. Ini yang konsep darurat dalam fiqh Islam. Okey, isu kita lalu tak lalu, kita tak kena dengan selera kita, itu isu lain. Okey, tetapi hukum fiqh telah membenarkan, telah mengharuskan dalam kondisi tersebut untuk kita makan babi yang diharamkan itu. Tetapi dengan syarat tidak melampaui batas, dan tidaklah sampai kita kata istilah sendawa sampai 4-5 kali kan. Cukup untuk kita melepaskan kelaparan kita sahaja. Okey, saya nak tanya, yang terlibat dalam hutan tu berapa orang? Kita seorang je. Okey, kita seorang saja. Kita seorang compare rakyat Malaysia 32 ataupun 30 juta yang tidak terlibat dalam kes kita. Jadi dalam kes kita keseorangan itu pun fiqh membenarkan untuk kita mengambil perkara yang diharamkan ketika darurat. Ni kita bercakap tentang statistik 400 orang ni, kan? Yang mana paling banyak, seorang ke yang 400 orang ni, kan? Jadi saya nak cuba clarifikan benda ini. Kalau yang seorang ini pun fiqh Islam bagi satu solusi, boleh dalam keadaan darurat ni sebab nak mati dah ni, kan? Tapi dah mati belum? Tak mati lagi. Kita bimbang diri kita kalau tak makan babi tersebut kita akan mati. Tapi ni kita dah bercakap pasal 400 orang yang dah mati, kan? Memang tak darurat lagi ke tu, kan? Kalau belum darurat lagi pada pandangan kita, saya pun tak tahu nak kata apa lah, kan? Okay, itu kita boleh buat analogi sebegitu. Jadi makna kata antara darurat individu dengan darurat awam ni, kan? Fiqh Islam meraihkan darurat individu, maka apatah lagi terlebih-lebih lagi lah fiqh Islam akan menjaga darurat sekiranya melibatkan kepentingan awam. Jadi itu yang pertama kan, tentang darurat. Okey, kemudian orang tanya, vaksin ni darurat ke tak darurat? Ya, dalam keadaan sekarang ni kan. Sebab itu kita katakan cuba rujuk statistik, kan? Dengan kes positif setiap hari sekarang ni naik 900,000. PAM kemarin 2,000 lebih, kan? Jadi keadaan COVID ni nampak gaya untuk sebulan hingga saya rasa mungkin sampai 6 bulan ke depan ni pun mungkin lebih kurang macam tu je lah, dia punya statistik ataupun graf dia tu. Jadi makna kata kita belum selesai lagi berhadapan dengan COVID-19 ini. Dan walaupun ya betul kita ada kita bercakap pasal SOP penjarakan sosial, hidup lifestyle yang lebih sihat dan sebagainya, tetapi tadi kita dah sebut dah, vaksin ini sebagai tambahan, langkah tambahan, langkah sokongan pihak kerajaan untuk memastikan bahawa rakyat kita selamat daripada COVID-19. Dan tadi pun Prof dah sebut, kalau untuk keberkesanan vaksin COVID-19 ni memerlukan lebih kurang dalam 60% ke atas. Okey, kita berhadapan dengan golongan anti vaksin ataupun golongan yang ada pengalaman buruk dengan vaksin dan sebagainya. Jadi kalaulah kita kata tak nak vaksin, nak buat macam mana, kan? Macam kita kan, macam saya sendiri sejak beberapa tahun lepas memang telah dilibatkan oleh Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia dengan JAKIM dalam seminar pendidikan kesihatan yang kita bercakap tentang 3 topik utama, iaitu pengguguran, rokok dan juga vaksin, kan? Saya panel tetap vaksin. Kita roadshow satu Malaysia, pergi terang dekat orang awam, pergi dekat institusi pengajian tinggi dan sebagainya, kira istilah berbuih mulut, duk cerita pasal vaksin ni kan. Tetapi hakikatnya sampai sekarang pun orang masih tak ada segolongan yang tidak menerima. Okey, tak apalah, itu pilihan masing-masing lah. Walaupun kita macam saya sendiri, saya menerangkan keharusan ataupun kewajipan vaksin menurut kacamata perspektif dalil-dalil daripada Quran, hadis, kaedah fiqh, maqasid syariah dan sebagainya, kan? Okey, menjawab adakah situasi ataupun kita kata fatwa-fatwa ataupun keputusan hukum berkenaan dengan vaksin di Malaysia macam mana? Okey, ramai orang berhujah bahawa kita belum darurat, kan? Kenapa fatwa menghalalkan benda yang haram, kan? Ini semua dajal belaka, kan? Sampai tahap macam tu, kan? Okey, saya nak mengajak sidang pendengar sekalian, kan, tentang realiti keputusan hukum yang telah diputuskan oleh Jawatankuasa Muzakarah Majlis Kebangsaan Hal Ehwal Islam Malaysia. Okey, untuk makluman, Jawatankuasa Muzakarah Majlis Kebangsaan Islam ini adalah satu badan rasmi yang menghimpunkan lebih kurang 21 orang, terdiri daripada seorang pengurusi. Sekarang ni Datuk Dr. Wan Zahidi Wantih, mantan mufti wilayah, menjadi pengurusi Jawatankuasa Muzakarah. Kemudian dianggotai oleh 14 orang mufti-mufti negeri, dan juga ada 5 orang tambahan dia panggil ahli lantikan, di mana ahli lantikan terdiri daripada ahli-ahli akademik yang pelbagai bidang. Ada yang bidang syariah, ada yang bidang akidah, dan juga ada 2 orang daripada orang sains, iaitu Prof Zari, farmasi, bidang farmasi, dan juga mantan Naib Chancellor USIM, Datuk Musa Ahmad, kan? Dua orang ni orang sains berada dalam jawatankuasa muzakarah. Okey, jadi untuk isu vaksin ni kan, saya ada menulis satu artikel dalam jurnal Ulum Islamiah USIM ni. Saya menganalisa keputusan jawatankuasa muzakarah berkenaan dengan vaksin. Dia ada 7 yang tak termasuk vaksin COVID-19 ni ya. Saya dipahamkan COVID-19 punya keputusan tentang vaksin itu telah dibincangkan, cuma belum lagi di-announce secara rasmi. Nanti tunggulah, mungkin 2-3 hari ataupun seminggu 2 lagi dia akan announce lah tentang keharusan vaksin COVID-19 ni. Tapi saya cerita pasal yang sebelum ini, yang mana Jawatankuasa Muzakarah telah bersidang dan membincangkan 7, dia bukan 7 vaksin, tapi 7 perbincangan yang melibatkan beberapa vaksin. Okey. Dan apabila pihak Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia membentangkan tentang vaksin-vaksin ini, tentang polio, yang papiloma, apa semua tu, meningitis, apa semua tu kan, daripada 7 perbincangan ini, hanya satu perbincangan yang mengharamkan vaksin daripada digunakan ataupun diambil oleh orang Islam, iaitu vaksin anthrax dengan biotrax kalau tak silap saya. Okay. Yang vaksin-vaksin lain kan, yang polionya, campaknya, rubella ke apa semua tu, semuanya diharuskan oleh keputusan Jawatankuasa Muzakarah Majlis Kebangsaan Islam kan. Kerana apa? Kenapa yang ni haram, yang ni diharuskan? Disebabkan yang diharuskan ada 6 keputusan mengharuskan semua vaksin yang dipersembahkan ataupun dibentang oleh kementerian, disebabkan vaksin-vaksin ini dihasilkan daripada sumber yang halal ataupun sumber yang harus. Manakala vaksin biotrax ataupun anthrax ini diharamkan kerana terdapat lagi alternatif lain dan tidak mencapai tahap darurat sehingga mengharuskan pengambilan vaksin tersebut. Jadi saya pun heran sebenarnya, dari mana kita menyatakan bahawa Jawatankuasa Fatwa di Malaysia ini menghalalkan benda yang haram kan? Sebab Jawatankuasa Fatwa di Malaysia ni boleh dikatakan kita pun faham Malaysia adalah mazhab rasmi kita, mazhab Syafi'i. Dan mazhab Syafi'i adalah antara mazhab yang paling ketat dan paling strict dalam bab istihalah pembuatan produk daripada sumber haram ni. Dan di Malaysia setakat ini saya duk bekerjasama, saya duk bentang paper, saya duk buat research untuk JAKIM, Jawatankuasa Fatwa dan sebagainya. Kalau sesuatu produk itu disumberkan ataupun dihasilkan daripada sumber haram, maka Jawatankuasa Fatwa tidak akan meluluskan, kecuali tidak ada alternatif lain kan? Dan pasal vaksin meningitis yang Mensivac dengan Menuimen tu kan, mula-mula yang meningitis Menuimen tu diharamkan sebab company yang hasilkan vaksin tersebut menggunakan sumber haram. Itu pada, kalau tak silap saya, tahun 2002. Kemudian berlaku satu semakan semula terhadap keputusan vaksin meningitis Menuimen tu. Pada tahun 2014, Jawatankuasa Muzakarah Kebangsaan telah pun review semula keputusan itu, di mana company itu telah tukar ataupun telah menghasilkan vaksin Menuimen yang baru yang bersumberkan harus. Okey, jadi daripada keputusan lama yang 2002 tu dibatalkan, dan sekarang ni vaksin meningitis Menuimen tu telah diharuskan oleh Jawatankuasa Muzakarah. Jadi sebab itu sekali lagi saya pun hairan macam mana tuduhan-tuduhan daripada pihak orang awam yang menyatakan bahawa Jawatankuasa Fatwa, ahli fiqh kita kat Malaysia menghalalkan benda yang haram kan? Sebab sepanjang kajian saya, Jawatankuasa Fatwa Kebangsaan di peringkat kebangsaan yang diwakili oleh mufti-mufti negeri semua, setakat ni tidak pernah meluluskan ubat vaksin yang bersumberkan daripada posan kan? Baik itu kedudukan fatwa vaksin di Malaysia. Dan terakhir poin saya, sidang pendengar sekalian, kita berhadapan dengan golongan anti vaksin, ataupun yang kalau sebut anti vaksin ni dia orang marah juga kan, sebab macam negatif kan. Tak apalah, whatever nama yang dia orang gelarkan kumpulan dia orang tu, tak apalah. Saya macam ni je. Kita dah banyak perbincangan, penerangan berkenaan dengan keharusan vaksin dari segi fiqh ni. Kita dah banyak kali sebut lah kan. Tetapi atas pilihan mereka masih lagi tidak mahu menerima dan sebagainya. Lalu ni saya akan macam ni lah. Daripada kita duk pumpang tak habis-habis, hang sokong, aku tak sokong, aku sokong, hang tak sokong. Lalu ni macam ni. Apa kata kan, daripada kita duk bising kat luar ni kan, mai kita buat wakaf vaksin. Kementerian Alam Sekitar dan Air ni di bawah Tuan Guru Tuan Ibrahim Tuaman tu melaksanakan wakaf air kan, untuk mengatasi masalah air di Malaysia kan. Tak payah duk katalah dekat Kelantan, dekat Selangor ni, saya orang Selangor kan, kejap-kejap air tak ada, kejap-kejap air tak ada kan. Jadi kementerian telah melaksanakan wakaf air kan, dengan harapan supaya dengan RM10 kalau disumbangkan oleh rakyat, kalau Tuan Ibrahim kata penjawat awam saja kalau boleh wakaf RM10 sebulan dah dapat 16 juta sebulan. Itu baru sebulan. Okey. Untuk menghasilkan vaksin bukan setakat RM1,000, RM2,000. Dia akan melibatkan jutaan, ribuan, mungkin ratusan juta, mungkin bilion. Okey. Jadi daripada kita duk pumpang kata ini agenda Yahudi, agenda Dajjal dan sebagainya, kita dah jadi fardu kifayah untuk melaksanakan wakaf vaksin ni. Hampa kena pakat sumbang duit supaya ada mana-mana company milik orang Islam kan, kita mula kat Malaysia contohnya, hampa carilah dan buatlah kajian untuk hasilkan vaksin yang totally 100% kita puas hati benda tu halal kan. Contoh kita kat Malaysia banyak ayam, kita banyak lembu, kita banyak kambing. Buatlah kajian. Tapi kajian ni dia memerlukan duit. Okey. Kalau nak harap kerajaan nak jaga jalan raya lagi, nak jaga ladang lagi, nak jaga ayak lagi kan. Jadi kita duk bising pumpang. Lebih baik kita pakat duk wakaf seorang sikit, sponsor mana-mana universiti ke ni, dalam ni kan kita ramai lecturer, penyelidik kan. Hampa tolong wakaf ni biar kami yang buat kan. Ni kita duk bising tapi tak ada apa juga kan. Itu sekadar pandangan saya lah. Kalau dapat dihasilkan, mungkin kita boleh hasilkan vaksin daripada kangkung ke, manalah nak tahu. Itu tugas orang sains lah, pendidik sains lah untuk explore kan. Itu saja daripada saya. Apa yang baik datang daripada Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala, apa yang kurang itu datang daripada diri saya. Aku qouli hadza wa astaghfirullah azim li wa lakum. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih Profesor Mahathir. Okey, saya berminat pasal yang wakaf tu, idea wakaf tu kan, sebab saya nak relate balik dengan daripada perbincangan dengan Prof Datin tadi tu, pasal actually yang wakaf untuk research vaksin, it doesn't have to be for vaccine research je kan. Dia boleh juga kalau kita nak go further on the discussion on, ni bagi contoh lah, maybe cari solution pasal transmission for the pemberian vaksin kepada rakyat nanti. Sebabkan kalau betul the Pfizer vaksin tu, one of the challenges was about the transportation and also dia punya simpanan di dalam minus 70 ml kan. So yelah, mungkin boleh kita boleh usulkan ataupun usahakan wakaf, saya tak tahulah peti ais ke ataupun proses penghantaran tu kan, sediakan satu tempat yang khusus untuk simpanan vaksin tu nanti dekat kampung-kampung atau kat tempat-tempat yang susah untuk adanya peti ais ataupun simpanan vaksin tu lah kan. Tapi cadangan yang bagus daripada Profesor Madya Dr. Irwan tu berkenaan dengan wakaf tu. So Mungkin kita ada apa-apa soalan daripada para pendengar. Terima kasih Profesor Madya Dr. Iwan atas perkongsian tadi berkenaan dengan isu halal haram. So kiranya memang untuk discuss pasal halal haram sesuatu proses sesuatu vaksin tu bukan sahaja kita tengok pada dia punya the vaccine itself, tapi juga proses sepanjang pembuatan vaksin tu dan juga tujuan vaksin tu untuk apa ya, Profesor Irwan, macam tu ya. Kita bukan setakat bincang-bincang tu tengok vaksin ni ada kandungan ni saja, dan it's about the whole thing. Seperti mana yang kita pernah berbincang dengan syarahan kita yang lepas berkenaan dengan halal dan juga thayyiban. So dia bukan sahaja pasal isu halal, tapi juga dia kena thayyiban juga. So ada apa-apa persoalan daripada para peserta kita? Kalau sesiapa nak angkat tangan ataupun nak bagi komen, saya buka peluang untuk bertanya. Kalau ada komen di FB, mungkin Cik Balkish boleh kongsikan apa-apa persoalan. Dan sementara itu, kita untuk pengetahuan semua yang mendengar, kita ada penyelidik, kumpulan penyelidik daripada Universiti Sains Islam Malaysia. Ini untuk yang sedang mendengar di FB Live ataupun MS Team. Mereka sedang membuat kajian lah mengenai pengetahuan, penerimaan dan persepsi rakyat Malaysia terhadap vaksin COVID-19 ni. So kalau para tuan-puan lihat di FB Live ataupun di MS Team ni, ada kita bagi link untuk sesiapa yang ingin participate untuk jawab soalan itu. So diharapkan para pendengar kita boleh beri sedikit masa untuk jawab soalan sendiri untuk kita membantulah pihak pendidik kita. So saya ucapkan terima kasih lah. So ada apa-apa persoalan ke ataupun komen? Sesiapa hendak bagi komen buat masa ni? Okay.
Assalamualaikum.
Salam. Salam Dr. Ali. Ya.
Saya Idin daripada Fakulti Syariah Undang-Undang. Saya nak tanya kepada panel yang daripada sains. Prof Ainun ke yang panel hari ni?
Prof Dr. Datin Ilina.
Okey, Dr. Elina. Okey, saya nak tanya tentang kebarangkalian ataupun kebolehan saintis-saintis Malaysia ataupun saintis Muslim untuk menghasilkan vaksin COVID-19 ini. Dari segi kekuatan, kita boleh hasil ataupun tidak. Kemudian biasanya berapa lama dalam kajian vaksin kalau kita nak hasilkan tu, berapa lama masa dia ambil biasanya untuk hasilkan vaksin yang boleh kita pakai lah. Terima kasih.
Kita ada Prof Ilina boleh jawab?
Okay. The thing is, I think this one it depends on our scientists. Okay. I'm a medical person. Okay, maybe like people like Dr. Nuruliza to our scientists. So those are the people who should be doing into making vaccine. Okay, so I think I think our country, ada a group yang buat veterinary vaccine ada, but not for the medical punya betul. But at that time, as I remember during my long time ago, there was a move by the government to have to produce our vaccine in our country. Okay, there were 9 bio before. Okay, it was supposed to be under IMARC dulu. Okay, but I don't know what happened. Okay, so but here the government was asking the Chinese people to do the trials in Malaysia. But that's one thing, just the clinical trial. But for making for the vaccine, actually the thing is whether you have the technical know-how or not. because I say, as I mentioned tadi itu, they started, the scientists started all over the world, started in maybe like as soon as they have the sequence, they're already thinking of the making the vaccine. So that's how they have to start, and then they have so many it takes a lot of work. The candidate vaccine, the animal studies, all the manufacturers, and then of course you need the money. Okay, so as I mentioned tadi, even like Moderna, they got the funding from the US government, so that's why it's going to be very fast. Because as you say, actually the clinical trial is not like 10. At that level, phase 3 was like 30,000, 40,000. So how are you going to do that? And then like Pfizer, they said they didn't get funding, so it was only the government. But they have they were working. The technology was coming from Germany. The Pfizer vaccine, the technology was coming from Germany.
Alright, okay. So saya harap that actually answers the question. So saya rasakan it's about the expert and also the technology, like macam tadi cakap lah, and also the funding. So research is all about funding as well. Okay, and collaboration. I'm sure in terms of the even the current vaccine trial pun Malaysia through the Ministry of Health, Datin, is undergoing, is in collaborating lah with the vaccine companies such as Pfizer. Betul Datin? Ya. Yeah. So kita ada satu soalan untuk Prof Elina daripada FB comment. Can you explain more on the vaccine registration in Malaysia? What is the difference from EUA?
Okay, as I mentioned, there are the normal registration which takes longer time, and then for the emergency use of authorization, I think like Pfizer ke siapa, they put in the document and it was like to the FDA, it was like it takes about 2 months. Okay, so that was 2 months was supposed to be short. Okay, but for normal it takes longer lah. Okay, it takes longer. Why they went for the EUA too? Because this is a pandemic. Okay, like in US there are already how many deaths in a day, berapa. So it depends. So that's why they go for the emergency. But whatever it is, the FDA did not cut corners. They really study all the clinical trials or the results apa semua. Okay, as I mentioned, for Malaysia, we are going for the normal registration. We are not going for the EUA. Okay. The thing is, we can buy time because, as I mentioned, our mortality, because the thing is about mortality. Our mortality is not that bad. Okay. Maybe, to me, people can get under infection. But as long as it can be asymptomatic, just because our infection is because we do a lot of testing, so we get a lot of cases. But how many actually masuk hospital? Require oxygen atau so it depends on your care. So as I mentioned, which we can have by ourselves by having good immune system, as I mentioned about the vitamin D and C and quercetin apa tu. So itulah thing. So we our DG has said we are going for normal registration. So we have our committee to look into all the vaccine who have applied, and then the pharmacy division will go to study about that. So and the thing is good because like at the moment we can see now we have like UK, they have found, let's say, healthcare workers, 2 healthcare workers have got the allergic reaction. So we can see we can see as we go on, there are already like now Canada has already so we have now UK already registered, America registered yesterday, baru today, because they had a meeting on the 10th of December. Canada pun already registered. There's already many countries have been using the EUA, and for us, we can buy time and see betul-betul normal. So after that, then you are all happy, then you can choose.
So maksud Datin by time tu is actually looking into all the procedures, right? Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay, so do we have any more questions daripada FB comment ataupun maybe our listeners atau viewers daripada MS Teams ni, kalau ada apa-apa soalan atau komen? Prof. Dr. Wan Omar, yes please. Prof. Wan Omar, you can Yes, Prof. Wan Omar.
Kena unmute.
Yes. Prof. Wan Omar, can you boleh cakap ke? We can't hear you. Yes, Prof. Wan Omar, we can't hear you.
You have to unmute, Prof. Wan. You are on mute.
Yes, Prof. Wan Omar, can you please boleh cakap sekarang? Boleh cuba cakap sekarang? We can't hear you. Yes, Prof. Wan? Prof. Wan, we can't hear you. Or maybe you can write your, if you want to write your comment or question on the chat. Can you please speak, Prof. Wan? We can't hear you.
There's no chat area for us to write.
There is. You can you see where we put our attendance? And also the form.
No, we don't. We don't have the chat icon here.
Okay, Prof. Wan, can you hear us? Can you try to speak? Okey, kalau sementara tu kalau ada sesiapa yang ingin bertanya lagi ataupun ingin memberi komen, boleh beri komen sekarang. Yes, apologies for Prof. Wan, we can't hear you at the moment. Okay, so ada sesiapa yang ingin bertanya lagi untuk apa-apa soalan kepada kedua penceramah kita? Sementara kita tunggu untuk Prof. Wan Omar. Dan sekiranya kalau ada apa-apa komen di FB, boleh tolong Balkis boleh tolong bacakan.
Ada satu soalan di FB daripada Muhammad Haris. Jika sesuatu vaksin itu daripada sumber yang halal, cuma semasa pemprosesan tersebut ada melibatkan bahan-bahan yang haram, adakah proses istihalah atau istihlah boleh diguna pakai di dalam proses ini?
Okey, mungkin Prof. Madia, Dr. Iwan. Yes.
Okey, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Seperti mana yang tadi kita bincangkan, dia dekat mana proses tu kan, ataupun penghasilan awal vaksin tersebut diambil daripada sumber halal, sumber haram, contohnya daripada porcine. Istilah yang digunakan memang kita ada jumpa, ada yang menggunakan konsep istihalah kan, ada yang menggunakan konsep istihlak. Okey, nama tu bagi saya tidaklah kita kata bukan kata tak penting kan, bukan jadi isu besar dekat sini. Cuma penghasilan itu diambil daripada sumber apa. Okey, dan kita dalam mazhab Syafi'i memang kita agak strict tentang penghasilan produk ubat-ubatan ni contohnya, ataupun vaksin. Kalau diambil daripada sumber haram, maka mazhab Syafi'i tidak menerima konsep istihalah di sini, kecuali istihalah yang berlaku dalam arak yang bertukar menjadi cuka. Tetapi kalau kita melihat ke dalam pandangan mazhab Hanafi contohnya, mereka pakai kaedah istihalah. Jadi sebab itu kalau kita dapati perbincangan-perbincangan di peringkat antarabangsa ataupun fuqaha kontemporari antarabangsa, mereka mengatakan produk yang terhasil daripada sumber porcine yang telah mengalami proses transformation ataupun istihalah ini boleh digunakan ataupun menjadi harus kan. Tetapi saya cuba ataupun saya suka untuk menarik perhatian semua tentang kedudukan kita, jawatan kuasa fatwa kita dekat Malaysia. Setakat ini memang jawatan kuasa fatwa kita tidak menerima konsep istihalah dalam produk makanan ataupun ubat-ubatan, kecuali tidak ada alternatif kan, ataupun tadi kita katakan hanya dalam keadaan darurat sahaja kan. Kalau setakat yang saya membaca dan mengkaji, memang jawatan kuasa fatwa kita memang tidak menerima konsep istihalah. Wallahualam.
Okay. Alright, terima kasih Dr. Iwan. Okay, so kita ada satu lagi soalan dekat FB. Salam Prof, I just wonder kenapa vaksin biasa gunakan barang non-halal seperti porcine dan sebagainya. Adakah porcine selalunya lebih efektif dan sebagainya? Mungkin Prof. Datuk Ilina boleh bagi komen?
Okay, thank you for the question. Okay, because like most of the vaccine companies ni, they will use in European countries ke apa, because at one time kalau even like the bovine product, they have this mad cow disease. Okay, so they are quite also hesitant. But whatever it is, whenever I used to go through the dossiers, so I always say when I meet the companies, we say always you have to think of the Muslim world, because we cannot take porcine. Okay, so but I can see that like the American company, they like to use porcine product, but the European companies, they use bovine. So it's their perception. Because like now at the moment that we have the zoster vaccine, it was using a porcine. So a porcine, you know very well, it will not be taken by the Muslim, whatever. Because for our people are very, we just cannot fathom of taking porcine. So actually, that's why as I was talking about if we can have our own vaccine. Because the thing is, if you consider the Indonesian, they all make their own vaccine because their population is very big. Okay, they are 200 berapa million, but kita punya population is only about 32 only. So it's whether it is cost effective to make a vaccine or not. Okay, so like so that when I went to vaccine course, I said, how come I was Indonesia they make their vaccine, but we don't. Even the Vietnam, when they make their own vaccine because they have the Pasteur Institute, so they have this Pasteur Institute and then technology, and then, so the Pasteur to take care of the Vietnamese. For us, we don't. I mean. We don't make our own vaccine. Most of the vaccine we buy commercially. Because I suppose I don't know whether it is cost effective or not. Okay? So maybe we can work together with the Indonesian, okay, for the halal vaccine together, because we are. I mean, or we can work as a region, the ASEAN countries, for this vaccine production or halal vaccine production. Because especially like for meningococcal vaccine, I mean, and it is meningococcal mostly is for our harsh population. So people would really want a halal based vaccine. And for the halal vaccine, okay, to get the certificate is very, go through a lot of things. Our people will have to go to the factory to see how it is produced. Because sometimes you can have the vaccine line. Okay, this maybe today you do halal vaccine. Another day they use another vaccine which contains porcine. Okay, so we would want actually the company to have a dedicated line for halal vaccine.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting point Datin raised. Okay. So thank you Datin. I hope that answers the question. Kita ada soalan lagi dekat FB. Jika Majlis Fatwa telah mewajibkan pengambilan vaksin, adakah berdosa bagi mereka yang menolak vaksin ini? Dr. Iwan boleh komen?
Dia nak tentu dosa pahala orang ni. Okey, dia apabila sesuatu keputusan yang diputuskan oleh jawatan kuasa fatwa, kita kena tengok kalau di peringkat kebangsaan sama ada keputusan hukum itu keluar daripada peringkat kebangsaan ataupun negeri. Dari sudut hukum fiqh, ia adalah nasihat hukum, ia adalah pandangan hukum, kan, yang mana pada orang awam sepatutnya kena ikutlah dan elok ikut, kan. Tetapi apabila kita bercakap dalam konteks sekarang ni, kita dunia moden, di mana di peringkat kebangsaan ia hanya menjadi keputusan. Sebab tu dia tak sebut fatwa, dia panggil keputusan muzakarah, jawatan kuasa muzakarah. Manakala di peringkat negeri, kalau sesuatu keputusan itu diputuskan dan diwartakan, maka ia akan menjadi undang-undang. Okey. So far yang saya tahu, semua keputusan berkenaan dengan vaksin yang diputuskan di peringkat kebangsaan dibawa ke peringkat negeri, mereka hanya menerima keputusan tersebut tetapi tidak diundang-undangkan dan tidak diwartakan. Okay, sebab tu tadi saya kaitkan antara fiqh dengan undang-undang. Okay, walaupun keputusan ataupun fatwa tersebut tidak diundang-undangkan, tidak diwartakan, tetapi dari segi hukum fiqhnya, maka istilahnya wajib kita kena ikutlah. Sebab apa? Sebab kita mempunyai pandangan yang pelbagai. Asatizah kita di luar sana, ada yang kata ya, ada yang kata tidak, ada yang kata vaksin harus wajib, ada yang kata tak boleh, kan, tak wajib. Jadi pelbagai pandangan. Jadi nak menghilangkan ataupun nak mengurangkan pergeseran, pertelingkahan dan mengharmonikan, maka sebab itulah kita perlukan satu keputusan rasmi daripada pihak kerajaan. Sebab pihak kerajaan, pihak berkuasa agama lah maksudnya, mereka adalah badan rasmi, dan dalam kaedah fiqh pun menyatakan bahawa kita panggil qada'ul hakim yarfa'ul khilaf. apabila sesuatu keputusan itu telah dibuat oleh pihak pemerintah, maka sepatutnya ia mengangkat ataupun ia memutuskan dan memotong semua khilaf ataupun pertelingkahan yang berlaku di luar sana. Itu sepatutnya. Dan sebab itu itulah, kalau kita kata berdosa pun, orang tak akan ikut juga sebenarnya. So atas kesedaran dan atas kefahaman masing-masing lah, kita telah sebab tu kan, saya dalam posting saya pun saya katakan, kita ni selama ni, macam saya sendiri, sahabat-sahabat lain yang bila bincang isu vaksin ini, kita telah bentangkan semua prinsip-prinsip syariah, dalil daripada Quran, daripada hadis, fiqahnya, maqasid syariahnya dan sebagainya. Okey, jadi dari pihak yang tidak bersetuju, cuba bentang balik dekat kami hujah-hujah masing-masing supaya kita boleh bincang. Okey, kalau setakat dok kata ini konsep dajjal, ini konspirasi teori barat dan sebagainya, itu bukan hujah fiqh. Kami nak tengok hujah fiqhnya apa untuk kita bincang. Manalah nak tahu kok kami yang salah, kita punya perbincangan yang salah. Tetapi ada juga yang menjawab tentang isu darurat tersebut. Okey, pada pandangan mereka bahawa kita belum darurat. Tapi sebab tu tadi saya katakan, kita nak tunggu berapa ribu mati baru kita kira darurat. Sedangkan darurat itu dia tidak mengira angka. Apabila keadaan menyebabkan kematian, maka itu dah termasuk dalam kategori darurat. Sebab tu tadi saya bagi contoh, kalau kita bersorangan masuk hutan, kita seorang tu bukan ribuan orang, kita seorang, jadi sebab itu kita mengambil jalan lunak lah. Kita bukanlah nak berkontra dengan siapa-siapa kan. Nak bincang, kita bincang, tapi bawa hujah. Wallahualam.
Terima kasih Dr. Iwan. So kita ada soalan lagi daripada FB comment. Kita boleh tahu ke vaksin tersebut tiada jangka panjang dalam 10 atau 20 tahun akan datang? Yeah.
Okay, I think dan tu kita tak tahu lagi, because they have follow up only like 2 months after the second dose. That's all the result is. Okay, but from what we understand is that effectiveness pun they all extrapolate from the old SARS corona vaccine yang 2002. So there can be the effectiveness is only about 1 to 2 years saja. And there was an old vaccine, but I mean it was used kejap, and after that it was not used because there was the outbreak died down. So whatever it is, we do not know. But what if you consider scientifically, is only the gene, only the smallest part only is only the gene that codes it's a very pure form lah. The gene that codes only the protein, the S protein. But if you consider the whole inactivated vaccine, they have a lot of things there. You have the nucleoprotein, you have the M protein, you have all the other protein. So that one you can expect a lot of side effects. Okay, now the pediatrician would understand. So like example where you compare a whole cell pertussis vaccine compared to acellular vaccine. Okay, there's a lot of side effects if you use the whole cell vaccine compared to a purified form. So because this mRNA vaccine is really a purified, it's only just it's like tailor-made just for you want the protein which stimulate the neutralization. The other protein is not there. The M protein, the other protein is not there. The nucleoprotein is not there. Only the S protein is included in the vaccine. So that's the one. But only yang we're talking about the side effects too is maybe the excipient lah. Maybe you have the liquid too, the lipid. Because it is encased in a lipid molecule, so that one maybe. But if talking about the vaccine, the active part, it is just contain the protein, only the S protein. Can I answer your question? purer as compared to the inactivated vaccine. The inactivated vaccine is, unless they really purify and just get the S protein.
Okay, so I think that's why research is ongoing, and in terms of the long term immune response, research is definitely needed. Okay, maybe Prof. Wan, do you want to try to say something? Kalau boleh, can you unmute and try to say something? Yes, Prof. Wan. Okay, so do we have any more questions daripada para pendengar kita pada hari ini ataupun di FB komen? Cik Balkis, ada apa-apa soalan lagi ke? Kalau tak ada,
dekat FB dah tak? Yang tadi je. Tak ada soalan baru.
Terima kasih. Right. Okay, Prof. Wan, can you say something? So, kita ada apa-apa soalan ke ataupun komen lagi daripada any of our listeners dekat MS Team? Saya buka. Sebelum tu, saya ingin ucapkan banyak terima kasih lah kepada para pendengar kita, baik daripada yang luar ataupun dalam USIM ni. Sebelum kita tamat, saya just nak remind untuk staff USIM untuk isi borang kehadiran seperti yang kita telah letak di chat MS Team dan juga FB Live. Okay. Dan juga kepada para pendengar kita untuk hari ini, saya jemput bagi pihak kumpulan pendidikan USIM untuk mengisi borang survey atau kuesioner lah, bagi membantu mereka untuk memahami isu berkenaan dengan vaksin COVID-19 ini. So kita juga telah letak link kepada borang tersebut di MS Teams dan juga di FB page ISI kita. Okay. Okay, so ada komen. Okay, saya dapat komen daripada Prof. Wan. Nampaknya beliau tak dapat nak bercakap, tapi dia ada bagi komen kepada saya. Okay, so ini apa yang Prof. Wan tulis. Mungkin Datin ataupun Dr. Iwan boleh tolong komen lah. Okay, it's just a comment daripada Prof. Wan Omar. Beliau berkata, lemahnya dunia Islam. Bicara sains dan teknologi hanya retorika aja. Walhal beberapa negara kaya Islam kaya raya, tapi tak dermawan, usahlah cakap pasal skim wakaf. Komen anda sebagai pemikir Islam. Okay, masih lagi cerita pasal halal haram. Okay, manakala kumpulan interface yang memperlekeh kemajuan sains dan teknologi adalah lemahnya umat Islam. Okay, telah terlalu banyak skim wakaf untuk tangani masalah umat. Mungkin Dr. Irwan nak bagi komen berkenaan dengan komen Prof. Dr. Wan Umar berkenaan pandangan beliau.
Komen saya adalah no comment.
Ya, saya rasa.
Can I add?
Yes, Datin.
I was the one who put up the title. Okay, actually I wanted just to stimulate the discussion. Because I'm talking, actually I wanted to say to answer some of the issues about all this anti-vaccine. But how can it's to answer? But the thing, as I said, to have acceptance, we need confidence, and one of the confidence is to answer of the issues. Like some of the issue, maybe as I say about halal haram. Actually, I know it is no issue. Actually, there is no issue, but just for a discussion so that to attract, so that people will come and understand and to accept the vaccine. Okay, I know it's said from very well. It's just talking about to attract the attention sahaja, but actually there is no issue. Because as I mentioned from many times, the first vaccine, the mRNA, was developed by the two Muslims. So we are very proud of that actually. Betul macam Dr. there is no comment actually. But for me to put how to answer all those anti-vaccine is going to be a lot of work, you know. So like I said, I take a small step first. So but because I wanted, as I mentioned, as I went through the slides, I tried to address all those anti-vaccine issues. So I just select actually my agenda is to explain.
Yeah.
But if I were to use that, then it will just like the scientific. But I want to have a more broader people lah to come. Okay, so actually, betul as you say, it's actually no issue. But it's matter as a matter of discussion is other things.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got my agenda right. We can discuss on the as I mentioned about the sterilization and when the why people say the thing about the why so fast. So and also about the registration. I mean, I've already explained that.
Yeah, and I think you did a tremendous job on trying to help to explain to the public. Yeah. Kita ada soalan daripada Prof. Yati. Yes, you raise your hand, Prof.
Yes, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. That was a very good talk, a very good session. In my opinion, this session is very timely. This is not it is not a dialogue between halal or non-halal. It's just to clarify to people who have been spreading rumors about halal issue of this vaccine, since it is a fast-track vaccine. So people are skeptical and they start spreading this halal haram issue. So I think this session is very good because it is just to justify and to tell the public that it is a halal vaccine and it is good for the population, for immunity. Yeah, well done, congratulations.
Yes, thank you, Prof. Yes, and I think Prof. Ilina and as well Prof. Madia, Dr. Irwan, not only just stating the points, but they also actually have backed it up with scientific evidence or published evidence. So it's not just about saying that the vaccine is good, the vaccine works, but we have backed up with scientific evidence behind it as well, and it just shows the importance of scientific research and how the importance of the world coming together as a team to make this vaccine, COVID-19 vaccine, a reality. Yeah, because I'm sure those who are in the scientific research area, especially in the vaccination production line, it's not an easy and straightforward journey. Yeah, but with collaboration, with efforts from all over the world, we can make it happen. Okay. So do we have any more questions? Yes, do we have any more questions? Kalau tak ada, we have approached pukul 12 dah. Okay, 12.30 hari. So sekiranya tiada apa-apa, saya sekali lagi dengan merendah diri ingin mengucapkan banyak-banyak terima kasih kepada Prof. Datin Dr. Cik Lina dan juga Prof. Madia Dr. Irwan Muhammad Subri, kedua-dua pensyarah daripada Universiti Sains Islam Malaysia. Terima kasih sekali lagi kerana menerima jemputan daripada ISI, dan saya juga ingin mengucapkan banyak terima kasih kepada para pendengar kita sama ada daripada FB Live ataupun MS Teams. Terima kasih banyak-banyak. Terima kasih banyak-banyak atas komen anda. Dan dengan itu saya daripada ISI ucapkan terima kasih dan salam Jumaat dan Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih.
Salam. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Ya, I can stop streaming now.